Overall, I kind of dig it, but it could be.
Son, what are you watching there?
Well, Dad, it's Larry Arts Productions, home to many types of content, including stop motions, reviews, unboxings, and other types of videos.
I knew getting the internet for my kid was a mistake. ladies and gentlemen, to that of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. Tonight's going to be the finale of a long string of road courses that here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting we've been covering. But tonight's going to be one of the most interesting ones of them all. You got a little bit of a glimpse of Watkins Glen this past Wednesday for the Wicked Racing League, but tonight it's the trucks, and they're tackling a brand new factor, even a factor that real-life NASCAR has never done before, and that is tackling the full course race here at Watkins Glen. They're heading to the boot, meaning there's more corners, more opportunities of danger, and a lot longer of a race that these drivers have to handle. And we're proud to give you all the coverage here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me is Zach Hall. And Zach, it's been a lot of road course racing, man, but this is going to be the end of a little bit of this spree.
That it is going to be the end of the spree here, and the first one for the ISRC truck series here. And I tell you, you know, it's cool to see them bring Watkins Glen into the schedule. I know a lot of drivers enjoy Watkins Glen, but to have the boot version, that adds in a whole new fold here into the race. And those corners are treacherous, so those are going to be, I think, some large majority of the topic here tonight because, you know, everybody has a lot of experience at this track. This is one of the most common NASCAR, you know, oval, style races where we bring them to the road courses here. And, you know, with the addition of the boot, I think a few drivers are going to be a little bit on the side of, oh man, I don't know exactly how to run this part of the track. So I think mistakes are going to be rampant there, but we're just going to have to stay on top of that all night as these drivers try to figure it all out. And even this is the first start of a road course for this new season here, and they've added a couple more road courses than they have in the past. So this is kind of that first true test you get to see of a road course. You know, who's going to be that driver that we need to watch out for heading into the next few.
Yeah, and, you know, talking about the fact that they've added a little bit more road courses for this season's schedule. Most of the other seasons, there's only been one, maybe two road courses for the seasons. This season, there are three to watch out for, and the next two after this are going to be very, very different once they go to those tracks. But if you are just joining us for the first time for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, this has been a spectacular season so far. This is race number 4, and the last 3 have been great. We got to see that of John Forbes winning at Daytona to start the season off. Then back in race number 2, we got to see a first-time winner here in the ISRC Truck Series, seeing that of Logan Brakey find his way into victory lane at Kentucky. Race number 3 last week, we got to see some sparks fly as our lap car made it a little bit mixy on the white flag with Noah Steele and Mark Whitley, where the 77 found himself in victory lane and growing his streak of the most wins in this league's history. But tonight, a completely different task, and you're seeing that board, some drivers topping the board that we were kind of expecting to be quick, and it's Cody Reed, who's taken the name of the race. He sponsored Gateway last season. He looked fast in that race, but got caught up in some late issues. Tonight, it's the Cody Super Epic 140 at the Glen, and Cody Reed top of the board here, Zach, for practice. But now, it's the most difficult part. How do you perform for qualifying as the drivers getting themselves settled in?
Yeah, and you say the most difficult part, Sam. I completely agree with that, just because also there is that lap 15 stage, but no stage yellow opposite to last season that we've seen here. So that will throw in a factor of making this qualifying that much more important to where you start, because if you throw yourself back there outside the top 10, it is going to be very tough to go for a win if you're having those types of feelings. And it's really easy to think the big thing that factors into this qualifying even more is to get that 1X off track, you know, going over the track limit here that iRacing deems the inbounds and out of bounds areas. And if you do that, that invalidates the lap. You can throw it out. It does not count. So those drivers are going to be tiptoeing on the edges of this track, trying to find every bit of speed while not trying to go over that out of bounds line.
And there's a lot of drivers also, we were looking over the practice times, there were some pretty big gaps between one driver's lap compared to their next. Expecting a lot of drivers trying to figure out how do you want to run this course, as I'm already watching Ethan Smith go in with the more traditional stay on track, take the bus stop approach. Zach, I watched some other drivers try to prepare for qualifying. Some are saying they're actually going to skip the bus stop on their first go around this track on their warm-up lap, trying to figure out different ways to save the tires going into their first money lap.
Yes, very different. Very, very different here as these trucks. You know, we've just seen a recent race here at Watkins Glen with the Next Gen Cup Series car. That car really likes to build up the heat, build up the energy in the tires, you and get them air pressures up along with the brakes. This truck, though, it does not have that same situation. You want to have as cold and the less wear you can possibly have on those tires, because that's when the speed is going to be produced by this truck. So I think the preparation on the outlap can really affect your speed. I mean, you can gain upwards of a half a second on a lap just from the added grip level of going slower on the outlap. And I'm seeing right now, we're watching Ethan Smith, he's going a little bit quick in my opinion. So, you know, some drivers don't have, I think, that knowledge of, hey, I need to go that much more slower. They think, you know, try to build the heat up, try to get that grip in there. But as you go through that lap, the heat starts to overheat actually the tires, and that's where you start to lose the grip in the second half of the lap. Your first half might be a little bit on edge because the tires are cold, but you get that perfect point if you do have those cold tires at the middle portion of the lap where you really start to gain a lot of time, especially through that bus stop. So I think drivers need to factor that in, but we'll see the different preparations. And even like you said, skipping that bus stop, putting a little bit less wear and heat into the tires.
Well, we talked about drivers taking it slow. Well, no more for the 00. It's Ethan Smith starting his qualifying time and same for about half the field. They are getting set up. This first lap looks to be the faster of the two, and out of turn one looks solid. But here through the S's, drivers have to be careful, Zach, as they hit the top of the hill.
What's wild is that S's right there can be so treacherous. You can almost go wide open through there as he comes up out through the S's. Now down the long straightaway here, one of the longest that's going to be on course all night long, down to the hardest corner on this track. It is the bus stop chicane. You're going to have to hit your marks and make sure you don't jump those rumble strips too much, because you could easily upset that truck, but you got to use them. You can't get away from not using them, because that's the line. As now they go through the carousel, they're going to veer off to what we have the addition tonight. That is the boot, and right here, the first corner to the boot, this left-hander, downhill, very tough to hit your braking zone just because of gravity wanting to force you down that racetrack and out into that grass. So it really wants to understeer and push the nose of the truck. Now into an uphill right-hander, this is where you can get a lot of time gained by just attacking that corner, because uphill allowing you to slow down a little bit better than with those brakes. But coming out of that exit, you see Ethan Smith there wobble a little bit. That exit is very, very tricky as you now head into the last two corners of this boot before you get back onto the regular circuit.
And this corner right here, the downhill, drivers trying to misjudge at times on how to attack. That could be a really good passing zone later on of this race. And on the exit of the boot, you see the 00, a very slow corner, exiting out and back onto what's known as the traditional course. As you see there, usually you can just blast on by, not worry about the boot. No longer. The second to last corner for the 00, looking solid. But the last corner here, Zach, you could gain or lose so much time.
That last corner, like you said, Sam, you can gain or lose so much time because you can attack it very hard, but you can also light the rear end up and not get the good drive down the front straightaway. And with that time there, Ethan Smith putting across a 1:55.241, which was slower than his practice time. So I think he's going to want to hope for a little bit more on the second lap, but it's going to be tough to make that second lap the lap that is really one that counts. So you want to try to make the first one the best, but at the moment, Mark Whitley with a huge pickup in that 77 machine from his practice session. He went to a 1:53.39, putting that 77 on top of the board, trying to, go back-to-back after last week's big victory.
Yeah, and the big reason why we're seeing these times being about almost a half a second faster than what practice was is the track. It is completely cooled off by over that of 10 degrees for themselves, and drivers is really starting to figure out where they want to go for the speed-wise. As here's a driver going a lot slower, Stanley Cochran, who is taking it easy for himself, trying to figure out how to go through the bus stop. This is his first timed lap for that of the 2 machine. But Zach, it looks to be kind of a settle-in phase for this 2. He's trying to build up speed, and he's hoping for a fast lap for this first time if he wants to top the board. And some bad news for that of Cody Reed. His first lap invalidated for that of the 25 machine, excuse me.
That's tough for the 25 machine there, Sam. Like you said, invalidated lap time. And again, the second lap just not as quick in this truck. You're going to automatically, to the second lap, start to see a good bit of tire wear and fall off when it comes to the timesheet. So driver's got to make sure to get that first lap in. He's going to have to try to do the best he can to not lose as much track position. But I love this preparation from Danny Cochran here. He's been probably practicing this all week, knowing is a fast out lap the way to go, is a slow out lap the way to start it. And I think when you go this slow, it's just going to be that much better in the equipment range for your tires. It just seems to really be very well for these trucks when these tires keep cool. And he does a good job there through 1. Not going too wide on that exit curb there and getting that 1X off track. That is the out of bounds area that we have here. So good job by him as now he comes up through the S's, and we'll get to see, can he take the time here of the top spot. And it was interesting to see that he did roll that first whole complete lap. So, you know, maybe he feels like rolling around a couple laps, it just takes the heat down that much even more.
What's interesting, Zach, is he's deciding to go for this final lap. That first one was a 2-minute and 8-second lap time that does not count because he was trying to save his tires. I mean, taking 2 laps to warm up your tires seems like an interesting call, but Danny Cochran has to make this lap count because this is the only one he's going to have.
Yeah, what I wonder there, Sam, is did he get a 1X? I think he actually did through the bus stop, going back and looking at that first lap. So it wasn't the preparation that he was doing for the lap. It was more or less just got that incident and completely said, stop the lap. And that is a great idea, because if you continue on at the same pace, your tires are just going to keep getting worse and worse. So we'll see, can the speed stay with the 2 here on a second attempt? But looks like so far as he's coming through the second to last corner of this boot before they head back onto the regular track. This left-hander, very, very tough, very easy to overshoot this corner, very slow speed, almost all the way down to 60 mile an hour, and now back onto the regular track where the last 2 corners await. And these corners are tricky. The gearing is very interesting in this truck here tonight. You're right on the edge of being a second to third gear corner, kind of shifting down, shifting up immediately as you exit and enter these corners. So we'll see what he can produce as he comes out of the final corner here down to the straight, or the start finish line.
That was close. He almost grazed the grass. It could have invalidated it right at the last second, but it's not. It is topping the board with a 1-minute 52.9 second time. That is Danny's one of the fastest laps that he's put on, even during all of his practice sessions. That is one of the fastest laps he's ever put down.
That one is a burner for sure. That is quick, because I can tell you I did a few practice laps this week, and I feel very confident on road courses like this. I got nowhere even close to that, folks. So that was a beautiful lap there by Danny Cochran, and it just shows you the preparation he's probably put in this week, and even the mistake on the first lap, the composure to come back from that mistake. I mean, that takes a lot of, you know, mental grit, and I got to give that up to Danny, because I tell you, it's so easy when you invalidate that first lap to just say, oh man, I'm in big trouble. I mean, for example, Cody Reed, he was well off the pace on his second lap compared to his practice times. I mean, yes, he's 5th on the board at the moment, so I think he's still in a very good position, but it just shows you going to that second lap, it can be that much more tough. But I think that slowing down phase, after he got the incident in the bus stop, he slowed it down, backed that truck up, and did the best he possibly could to keep his equipment nice and cool. And it just shows right there that he really brought it back right into the right zone with that 152.92. Didn't expect to see a 52 here tonight.
No, I wasn't expecting it at all. Maybe a low 53 like we saw from Mark. I mean, that's a very fast time that he put down for second, but that is almost a full half a second faster is that 2 machine. Just showing a simple mistakes to be costly, but at the same time, he could rebound just as fast. And for Danny Cochran, he's going to be having a very tough race overall. Great composure for qualifying, but he is dealing with the sickness. He is dealing with, I believe, flu-like symptoms, so he's hoping that he's going to be able to at least make his way through this race. As we look at some of the other drivers that are hoping to just survive, it's going to be the 4 of Jordan Schmitz, who's already put down a time, going to be qualifying for 27 at this current moment. Great to see that one of his laps has been validated. He was struggling just to put a lap time in during practice, but this 4 going to be one of the drivers to watch out for in that of the back half of the field, hoping to grab the best that they can. But Zach, just as fast as we got done talking about qualifying, what's crazy, 10 minutes out of the way, and we are getting ourselves prepared. Drivers set up to see how this race is going to go. And as the starting grid and the drivers start to grid up, let's take a look at where the drivers qualified here this evening for the Cody Super Epic 140 at the Glen here tonight for the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. It's the 2 of Danny Cochran putting down a burner of a lap for the 2. He'll have the pole position. Mark Whitley going to be in second place for the 77. Trent Jump, who has been one of the dominant drivers here at the Glen, but now with the boot, he's only going to be able to qualify up to 3rd. Nick Crawford's going to be in 4th place. Cody Reed going to be in 5th. John Forbes in 6th place with Cedric Hunter in 7th. Ollie Fonseca 8th. 9th goes to that of Joshua Kanata, as well as Logan Brakey going to be finishing out our top 10.
11th is going to go to the 38 of Christopher Norris. 12th there for Tyler Dingler. 13th is going to be the 00 of Ethan Smith. Robert Sherwood going to be in the 14th position with 15th and the 57 of Brian Fine. 16th is going to be Kyle B. Tate. 17th is going to be the 5 of Dakota Moniz. 18th is going to be GT Irizarry. 19th going to Kyle Rochelle, and rounding out that top 20, it's Eric Stamp.
Then in 21st position, it's going to be that of Noah Steele in that 21st position. Martin Morales is going to be in 22nd. That of Ryan Crowfoot going to be in 23rd. Justin Smith going to be in 24th. That of Barrick Upbrook in 25th. That of Zachary Peterson going to be in 26th. That of Jordan Schmeet's going to be in 28th, with Joshua Altis finishing out all the drivers that put in a time in 28th position. All the other drivers based off of their road iRating, it's going to be placing that of Jonathan Smith in 26th, Cody Smith in 30th, and the rest of the field, Zach, is drivers that did not put times as well.
Yeah, they didn't. It'd be Joshua Freed 31st, John McAdams 32nd, 33rd is going to be Malik Kuntz, 34th Tyler Horn, 35th is going to be Michael Sheffield getting the EOL, 36th is Matt O'Brook, and last on the field, 37 trucks here tonight, Travis Everett. So got a big old field, and it's going to be a wild race to say nonetheless here for 40 laps here for these drivers around this tough track, especially with the addition of the boot.
And Zach, they're going to be pacing through the whole entire track. So we got a little bit of time to talk to somebody. Going to throw it your way. Who do you think we should talk to? Either Cody Reed or that at Trenton Jump?
You know, I tell you, I think we should let's hear from Trenton Jump, because it is definitely interesting to see. I know he didn't get too much practice this week with being at the 24 Hours of Daytona, being there actually at the real event. So I know that we'll get to hear what his thoughts are about starting third here, because he was definitely dominant last season.
It'll be starting third is the 46 machine. Let's bring him up to the booth, see if we got him. Trenton, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Well, Trenton, you've been one of the drivers to watch out for every single time we come to the Glen. You won it back in that of season 2. Then you almost won it back last season 3, but caught up in a wreck. How are you feeling coming into tonight?
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident. I think we should have a good night. Should be a good points night. Finally, we've been wrecked out 3 weeks in a row now, so just gonna try to have a positive and really good night. So feeling good.
Well, yeah, Trenton, Sam brought up your, talents here at Watkins Glen you've shown here in the past, man. How do you feel about the addition of the boot? How well-versed are you in those corners?
I absolutely hate it. The setup's not made for it. It's meant for a lot of fast corners, and there's a lot of slow corners here, and it does not like it. So it's either going to be wreckfest or it's going to be really terrible to drive in the long run. So but I guess we'll see. I really wish we would have just stuck to the other layout, but it is what it is.
And, last question here for you, Trenton. We're coming up to this race. Last season we threw in the factor of there being caution flags. We're not having caution flags for the stage break. How are you feeling on the fact that it's going to be 40 laps just straight on through?
I don't know. It shouldn't be an issue. Hopefully the field is spread out and we shouldn't have any issues. So, and I don't have to worry about any cautions of getting Cody readed again. So.
And we hope that doesn't happen. Well, Trent, we'll let you focus up as we're coming to these last couple of corners, and good luck here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Have fun.
As that is going to be the 46 at Trenton Jump from the Armadillos Motorsports team. And as well, got to give a huge shout out to our producer, Robert Moore. You just saw it there, our first showing. Cameras moving. Zach, I'm so excited on the fact the ways we've been upgrading for this new year as the drivers getting themselves ready to be about to get ramped up.
Man, we just continue to keep growing here at Freaky Fast. That's the beauty of it, man. It's always something new coming up here with ideas, and definitely shout out to Robert for that. It's going to be cool to see that addition, I think, and get to show, how it all works out here with some of these views and sights you get to see from this wonderful racetrack. And I tell you what, I'm interested because this is going to be a wild one. Trenton's, like you said, this setup is not built for this slow speed corners. It's mostly for the high speed corners, so it's going to be difficult to get through those last set of corners.
Well, we've seen 3 great races. We've had 3 different winners this season. Can we have a 4th different winner, or will we see someone get their 2nd win of the season? Let's find out as the pace car is about to pull off. It's time for the Cody Super Epic once 40 here at the Glen, and it's side-by-side for the lead. Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, they get the green flag, and here we go down into turn number 1.
Most treacherous spot of this track here, especially on the first restart, is down here into 1. Can Danny Cochran clear the 77? Yes, he does. 77 goes a little wide over that curve, but there is no penalty for incident limits here tonight, so you're going to see that being used a good portion of the night. As now the field heads up through the S's. This is a giant field. Let's see if they can survive it all.
the end of the field, trying to go through the S's. They all survive turn 1, but through the S's, they all single file out, knowing that just being side by side at the top of the hill can be treacherous. Now entering one of the toughest parts of the racetrack, it's the bus stop. Everyone trying to enter cleanly. You can see with a shot, they're trying to get as close as they can to that barrel.
That barrier gets so close to get destroyed every single lap. Trucks get very, very close because you're trying to open up that corner as much as possible when you come back to the right after you turn in initially left. So it's an interesting corner, and we could see somebody make some contact even with that, like you were bringing up, Sam. So now is the first time they head into the boot, into the uphill corner here. It's downhill through most of it, but as you enter into the corner, it goes uphill. This exit is where it's very treacherous. It is very, very hard to put the power down, and I think we could see drivers struggling in this portion of the track the majority of the night.
That uphill known as the toe. Now the drivers thunder down into where the heel section is. This is the final 2 corners to get out of the boot. And drivers, majority of them have been able to survive cleanly. There's only been 2 drivers with struggle. It's going to be Justin Smith, who is all the way back half of the field as the drivers up front exit out of the boot. This is the new aspect of this racetrack. It adds an extra 40 seconds to this track from what the drivers were used to, and it's going to be the field. Most of them staying in line and surviving all the way through. That is Zachary Peterson, the driver who falls down, but leading lap number 1, it's the 2 of Danny Cochran.
Not only does it add time, Sam, but it's also going to add that distance to the racetrack. And I think that's where the interesting factor comes in. You see a lot of these guys get sideways coming out of this last corner here. We have a little bit of a fuel mileage race here also possibly. It's right on the edge of going 20 laps here tonight. You can go around 20 and a half laps, but you got to equate for that pace lap. That's going to take away a little bit of fuel here for these first couple laps. So I think, here early, if you can, try to get some distance on your drivers around you and then lift and coast to save that little bit of extra fuel to make sure you can hit that lap 20 marker, because then you're good to go for the rest of the race just for that pit stop, and you won't need to come back down for any type of fuel.
And looking at the drivers that were putting down really fast laps, there was a good selection of about 4 to 5 drivers that were extremely quick. And we knew we were going to try to pull away, and that's what we're seeing right now on our screen. You've got Danny Cochran, Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, Cody Reed. These were the drivers we were expecting to be up front, dominating, pulling away, but that little factor of fuel, Zach, is going to hurt these drivers the most that are up front.
That it will, Sam. When you're faster, you use more fuel. You're on the throttle more. You're usually doing things that equate to more fuel mileage being burned. So these drivers are the ones that are going to suffer the most from it. As we check back here around, Tyler Dingler here in this 12th position. He's right behind Christopher Norris, directly ahead of Brian Fine here, one of the rookies.
Actually, over the radio, drivers back out the field. That of Joshua Altis as well as that of Robert Sherwood. Altis is stuck in the barrier, the 94, looking to have to take a tow as he just cannot get out of this corner.
Oh, such a tough break for Joshua there, because, man, he didn't have the greatest qualifying spot, but the road course races are places where you can make up tons of time with drivers' mistakes, and he was the first one to really make one there, as it was an incident up ahead of him that really made him have to crank it left and got caught up in the barrier, and then, like you said, he was stuck in the barrier and had to tow from that point. So that pretty much ends his night, ends any chance of him trying to get into a decent position. He might be able to gain something if someone wrecks out of this race and completely destroys their truck, but I think the biggest issue for him is his truck is going to be a little bit damaged. Luckily, no required damage flags, though.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. No required damage, but it's going to be hurting that of Joshua Aldis the most. As he's having to take the tow, that means he's going to be in pit road for 3 minutes, maybe more than that. You see on screen, drivers racing side by side. But we move back up to some of the drivers that are in the middle of the pack, but trying to close in to a top 10 finish. And that is going to be GT Rosari in 15th place. This is a time to try to make and gain as much as you can. Again, top 10 drivers are going to get bonus points at the stage. The stage is at the end of lap 15. Those top 10 drivers will get those points, but there will be no full course yellow. So drivers are going to be competing with one another to make sure they're up front and racing as hard as they can. As you can see that of Noah Steele, who was racing for the win last week, now being challenged by the newcomer joining Driven Motorsports with Mark Whitley, and also that of Jonathan Smith. It's Kyle Rochelle in that 21 machine in 20th.
Very interesting to hear that there is Kyle Rochelle here trying to make something happen in that 21 machine, but just not the drive off there he needs out of the tow there, as he's got Noah Steele directly ahead and also Dakota Moniz. So this group still got plenty of opportunities to go forward and even still have a chance to get stage points. I mean, there's a lot to happen to lap 15. And as these tires wear, it's going to get easier and easier to make those mistakes. Tonight, you know, these drivers probably here for race pace wise, you're going to be seeing around 154s as well. We got some.
There's another driver stuck in the wall. It's Tyler Horn, the 26, back in 33rd position in the boot. Seems to be just grabbing drivers, and the 26 trying everything possible to get out of the wall, but he is going to have to take a tow. He is stuck, trapped, and that is another driver being swamped. And Zach, this could be a trend to watch out for, especially with tire fall off. If you have issues in the bus stop, you might have to automatically take a tow if you get trapped.
This is something new right there. It just shows you. I mean, you got to always be prepared for new things here in iRacing. And sometimes those barriers don't play friendly when you get into them. Sometimes the car just gets lodged into them and you can't get back out. So that's a tough break car there for Tyler Horn, along with Joshua Altice, two of the victims of that so far. These drivers, like you said, as the tires wear, they cannot make those mistakes to get into those barriers, because we've seen already two of those trucks get stuck in them, and that's an automatic tow to pit road. And then you're talking about 3-4 minutes before you even get back there. It's going to be a tough time if you're having to deal with that for majority of the night. So we'll see how it works out, but as the fall off starts to kick in, we're going to see upwards of around 4 seconds of lap time fall away from these drivers, and that's where it really gets tricky.
As we move up to see that Christopher Norris in a 38 machine. Norris has been having a very hectic day today. I don't even know if he got his issues fixed. He was dealing with VR issues. That's a way for drivers to see the track much easier. But Zach, this 38 was talking all day, trying to figure out to get solutions on how to fix his VR. It was not working, and I don't know if he ever got to work or if he had to drive with his monitor, which that could be a big switch up for the drivers if you're not used to that switch.
A huge change, Sam, and I did get a little bit of a word from him before the race. He did get a VR headset going. It's his previous VR headset, so he had to go back a generation from the newer headset he was using. Some issues that he just could not work out with his regular VR headset, so he had to go back to this one. And I know this one has plagued him in before, where it has, you know, where it just blacks out. The screen will just go out for all of a sudden. So I'm sure he's a little bit nervous here coming in tonight, and I know he probably wanted to perform a little bit better here, because road courses seem to be, you know, this 38 strong suit throughout the seasons. And with that worry in the back of your head, you're always going to be kind of a little bit held back. So we'll see what Christopher Norris can do with that. But yeah, I think unfortunately for him, he's got some peripheral issues.
As we drop back behind him, we see that of Kyle Tate. Excuse me there. It's that 43 being pressured by Dakota Moniz, as well as seeing that going to be seeing other drivers pounding on the 43 machine. But here is our first opportunity to see those hands working of these drivers, as that of Kyle Tate gives us his driver cam heading to that of the bus stop. In fact, this is where drivers got to be focused.
Got to be quick on the hands here. It's first a left movement, then back to the right, continue right, and then back to the left. So it's very quick movements, and that is the part of the track where you're the fastest with the wheel. You want to be smooth for majority of the racetrack around here, but through there you got to be very quick with your inputs. You cannot be slow, because if you are slow at the inputs, everything happens too slow and you will be off track very quickly. So it's one of those places where you got to really focus. And even down through this boot portion of the track, like Trent Jump said, this setup is really built for high-speed corners. That's what majority of Watkins Glen, the Cup layout, is built with. When you have these slow-speed corners added with the high-speed kind of setup here, it does affect that balance, and the balance through this boot, I can tell you from driving this week myself, is very difficult, and it's only, like we said, going to get worse with the tire wear.
But I think one thing that's kind of interesting to watch is how smooth Kyle Tate's trying to be with that steering wheel. He is really trying to be gentle on how he is going around this course, especially through the boot, a little bit more aggressive here, and then back onto the traditional course, really working those hands. But one driver that was having issues as we were checking out the 43 through the boot, back in 28th position, Jonathan Smith, heavy front end damage for that of the 73 machine, and not require damage, but you can see that front end, Zach, he has met the wall and the barrier a couple of times on the entry of the boot.
Up deal there for Jonathan Smith, and that's only going to make that truck drive worse. You lose downforce when you get that damage on the nose, just not making the same aerodynamic properties that it did before. And that's where you're going to lose a lot of front turn. Your truck's not going to want to turn as well. It's also going to be a little less reactive. So it's going to make your truck very tough through these slow speed and especially the high speed corners. So he'll be dealing with that majority of the night. And I think the other issue you got to really worry about when you get that damage on the nose, especially with how the gearing is in this truck and going up and down through the gears is overheating that engine and causing engine damage that could just completely bring it into your night.
A lot of focus on what you need to make sure you don't get yourself in trouble with, as some drivers are battling closer and closer around one another. And right now, I do want to give an update on the two drivers that have gotten themselves stuck in the wall, had to take a tow. That of Joshua Altus and Tyler Horn, both back out on track. They're both one lap down, and the fact that we do not have a full course yellow to come out, they're hoping for a lot of other drivers have the similar issues that they had, being stuck in the wall and find themselves not able to be moving. As one of the best rookies we could say of the year right now, Zach, that of Joshua Kanata. This 16 has been looking fantastic for these first 3 races of the season, and he is running well up in the top 10. This is exactly what you're looking for a rookie, especially here at a road course. You're not expecting a lot, but get good points as we're getting closer into the middle of this regular season.
Yeah, and another thing that's interesting with Kanata is he actually came in here tonight. He has the highest road I rating, so that's how it bases a lot of things here when you come to road in iRacing. Sorry, there is that can be a factor. So he does have a little bit of experience in road racing, so that's good to see for Kanata. There is we get to see a cool setup here too from his driving perspective.
Talked about VR. Well, here is a driver utilizing the VR, downshifting into turn number 1. Is going to be the 16 machine of Kanata, and running right now in 9th place. And looking at the times, running pretty similar to that of John Forbes, ahead of him, slightly faster. Looking at the times, I think John Forbes is starting to be slowing down for the 11. He's not running as consistent as he was before. Kanata could catch up to the two drivers ahead of him, and watch out for the 16. He might be able to grab a couple of more bonus points, as we are now halfway to that of our stage at the end of lap 15, where the top 10 drivers will get bonus points, but there will not be a full course yellow. We are expecting no full course yellow at all for this race.
Oh man, look there, John Forbes, a mistake there going into the carousel. That's gave Kanata now the chance here, down into the inside, and he's going to make the quick, easy pass. And unfortunate for Forbes, they're starting to struggle here as this run goes on. He was up around the 6th, the 7th position, and has gotten past at least 2 to 3 times here in the last few laps. So it seems like that tire wear is starting to play a factor here. Forbes, Kanata has his little bit of a moment there exiting, and that corner, again, like I said, can be very devastating when it comes to putting the power down, and Kanata unfortunately held onto that machine and keeps the position.
It's so interesting to watch these trucks, especially in the hard braking zones, and seeing the front ends just dig into the ground each and every time, trying to march their way forward, as you also see the rear ends kind of buckle up for themselves. Went back to watch. I think John Forbes might have had a yield penalty that he had to slow up for it. I think that's it was just weird to see how slow he got. He got out of the bus stop. He was very close to that center corner, and then had to back off through that in the carousel. I think that's where his issues might have been. Looking at other issues, that Tyler Dengler able to make a pass on the 57 here, as this is battling going on in the middle of the pack. That's Brian Fine in the 57. He's got to be careful because Ethan Smith starting to close in, and that of Brian Fine's up 2 positions for himself.
It's a great job by Brian Fine here, one of the rookies. And this is a good run that he needs. You know, it's been a tough start to his season, so this is good to see him getting a good run here on the road courses. Also a great run for Tyler Dingler here in 12th. So really this group, these 2 drivers here, looking for some good runs here to come out of Watkins Glen. And you know, it's good to see him up here also. So Ethan Smith, though, like you said, has been closing it down, getting a little bit closer. They also got GT Rosario right there in the background, about to head into the bus stop. And then they got a cup about 3 or 4 seconds back to Eric Stamp. So that group still well within distance here to battle each other. But I think the big thing is they are a good bit back from those stage points. Logan Breakey right now in the 10th position. He is about 3 to 4 seconds ahead of Tyler Dingler. So they got to really make up some ground here if they want to try to go up here and get some stage points. And if you see Logan Breakey, he started closing in even on John Forbes here. He might be able to get 2 bonus points instead of that one.
And John Forbes that last lap for 2 seconds slower than the majority of the field ahead of him, and about a second slower than Logan Breakey and everyone until that of around 22nd position. So this 11 needs to find some extra speed, as some drivers trying out some different tactics for themselves, trying to be, I would imagine some, we talked about it at the top of the broadcast, Zach, tire wear going to be a big thing to watch out for, but the fuel that we were talking about, that is going to be another thing for these drivers. If you're not driving slow enough, you're not saving out enough fuel for our leader right now of Danny Cochran. He is already a full 1.5 seconds off of what his fastest time was during this race.
That drop-off's only going to continue to be more too, so we'll see how that plays out. And you know, that last time by him and Mark Whitley pretty much matching times. Trent jumped the fastest of the top four, or really even the top 5, with Nick Crawford being somewhat close to him in 5th, but Nick Crawford about 4.5 seconds back from the lead position. So, you know, it's going to be tough to close that down. But, you know, I was talking to a few drivers, and they felt like saving tires would come back around in the end of this scheme, especially because when you save those tires, you're going to possibly save a little bit of fuel too by backing up your corners, just being a little bit easier on your equipment. So if you get that fuel saving out of the way here early, you'll be in a way better position possibly to have, you know, some pace here to close down and gain those positions. But passing is going to be critical. If you're, you know, back there like Nick Crawford in 5th, how is he going to gain the time to get past these drivers if he's turning good lap times? It's always the critical thing, is we're going to see Cody Reed there battle through the boot.
An area that was a quick showing of the outside. I mean, aerial coverage there, seeing the whole entire track. This track over almost 3.5 miles in length from the start to the end, going through the boot. When the boot's not there, this track is a little bit over 2 miles in length. It's so fast when you get around. The boot extending so much. As here's 5th place runner of that, Nick Crawford. Nick Crawford was putting in a lot of practice for the 74 machine. And for tonight, thank you for joining us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Monday night, giving you coverage of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, as this is race number 4 of the season for these drivers. A little bit of update. We've had 2 drivers with major incidences that had to take a tow. That Jonathan Smith, too much damage. He has decided to come into pit road for the 73, and he is currently 3 laps down, about to be 4 laps down. And also 2 drivers, one officially calling a night, that of John McAdams doing a start and park. Malik Coons still has not been able to even start the race. He's been having internet issues and has called it quits on trying to attempt to even put down a lap for the 98. You hate to see that from Malik, who was showing very strong last week, but was kind of in a late incident. Excited to see how well he's going to run next week, as next week these drivers continue on a very, you can call it a circus season in the middle of this pack. Zach, we're heading to that of Japan. We're going to Twin Ring Motegi for the oval course. Then we're going to that of Darlington Auto Club dirt track racing at Port Royal. And then they go back to Japan for that of Fuji.
I think these guys must have just thrown a dart at a dartboard with the name of tracks on it and just said, you know what, let's do it. Let's just go there. It is cool to see the different edition of tracks. I know Motegi, that's going to be interesting because that track is one of a kind. It's very, very different than anything we run. It's a 1.5 miles that's very flat, and it has 2 really different sides of the track. So it's going to be fun to watch that one and get to see who can master it, because I know a lot of drivers don't have experience there. It's going to be a first-time type of deal for them. And when it's the first time for drivers, it kind of opens that door for other drivers to get into a better position. So we'll see how that works out as we're checking out the 21st year of Jordan Schmitz.
And Schmitz is honestly doing a lot better than I was expecting, up 6 positions for himself. And you know, something that we didn't really touch on, the survival aspect. Some drivers come into these races not expecting to run for a top 15 some nights. Their ultimate goal is just to say, hey, I stayed on track for the whole entire race. George Schmitz, one of those drivers, that is his ultimate goal. And then behind Schmitz, got to give credit to some of the other drivers, that of Matt Upbrook, as well as Michael Sheffield. Both of those drivers up 10 plus positions. As you see, the 15 here of Matt Upbrook, our biggest mover of the night, up that of 13 positions for himself. Then the one machine behind him about 5 seconds back. Oh no! The commentator's curse strikes the one, as he was doing a great job running through this race. He started with the EOL, and now drivers have to avoid him out of the exit of the blind corner.
Yeah, Barrick uphold Martin Morales, Robert Sherwood, and now goes by Joshua Freed also. So tough break. Yeah, I tell you, that commentator Kurtz is lurking around every single corner here, especially in a tough track like this. So sorry to Michael Sheffield. No meaning for that, but it is definitely something that happens to be an odd occurrence. But the 6 there, Justin Smith is now, we got him on screen. He almost has a moment. So you can see what these drivers are fighting. And the thing also that I'm looking at, you know, with Justin Smith here, he's about 1 minute and 11 seconds back here. So he's the second car, or the third car in line that should go a lap down here early in this race. First one is going to be Zachary Peterson, as he's only about 10 seconds ahead, or really less than 10 seconds even now in the 96 ahead of our leader. So quickly, Danny Cochran and Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, Cody Reed, all of them will be hitting some good bit of traffic, and that's going to add a whole different factor into this race.
I was talking to the drivers for the majority of the drivers that are up front for Danny Cochran and Cody Reed. They were saying lap traffic might be the one thing we're fearing the most here tonight. We knew fuel was going to be close. We knew the competition was going to be right on top of one another, but they were not sure how lap traffic was going to freight here tonight. Another way, it really wasn't a lot of protocol talking to drivers about, hey, how do we want to react around the leaders when you catch up to them? Usually it's get out of the way as soon as possible, announce where you're going to place yourself so the leaders know how to get by you. But Zach, this is going to be our first test, and it's only going to get crazier because drivers are trying to space out between one another.
Like you said, the spacing there, that's going to be critical, because right now Peterson, I mean, he's about 21 seconds off the next nearest truck up ahead of him, Cody Smith. So after they get past Pearson, it's going to be a while before they catch the next one. But that's where they start to run into some interesting things, because then Cody Smith's about 14 seconds, so it'll be a good bit there. But then you got 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 2 seconds. You got like a group of 4 trucks really right all near each other. And then as they start to get in the chunk of the field around the 20th position, because we're only on lap 12 here of this race, we're not even too halfway. They're probably going to lap up to around, I'd say, maybe 20th position. So you're going to start to run into a good portion of the field, as now they're actually just going by Zachary Pearson in this carousel, and he's doing a good job of getting out of the way. But Mark Whitley going to have to check up just a little bit there, as it's right on the exit there where you exit out wide.
Yeah, especially with how close our front 4 or 5 drivers are. If you're going to let one by, you practically have to get out of the way and park it to let the rest go on by, as Peterson continues to stay wide, which puts Trenton Jump in a tricky situation, able to get through. And now Peterson, he's got to be careful, because these slow drivers, this has been a struggle corner to get back up to speed. And Peterson able to get up through the throttle as we're on board with Cody Reed and his custom pink machine that he ran last season for his Cody Super Epic Gateway experience here tonight. Putting a little bit of duct tape on that scheme and then slap it on there, being at the 140 at the Glen. This 25 hoping for a good run. Hope to see the 60 out of the 96 just get out of the way. He'll go extremely wide into the wall, and Cody Reed able to survive that altercation there.
Deep breath there for Cody Reed for sure, as he has to get past that 96 who was just trying to hit his marks and just slid off the racetrack. So it's good to see that hitting that grass doesn't cause that 96 to come back across the track, because that could have easily happened there for that 25 machine. He could have been taken out of this race, very simply. So it's great to see that he made it through, but he has lost a good portion of time here to those leaders. But still plenty of time to go in this race. And ooh, big slide there from Nick Crawford, as we got to catch that for a moment. Just a little deep into one, heating those tires up.
Every little slip up, every slide, is just going to make it worse and worse for every lap, as seeing that of Nick Crawford trying to pull away. It's going to be that of Ollie Fonseca at the bottom of the hill, as this 74 is already at the top, trying to make their way forward. And some drivers already making an early pit stop. I think for some drivers recognizing, all right, I don't feel confident making it to the end. And Eric Stamp going to be one of those that hits pit road. And Zach, I got to say, I love this call from the 53. If you're going to come into pit road, for sure for 2 pit stops, better make it early so you can get this advantage on the tires.
No reason to wait around, like you're saying, Sam. If you wait, you're just going to be wasting time. So great call by him. He just didn't feel like that was possible. Maybe even felt like the tires were the more important thing. It just felt like maybe I could complete better laps if I had those tires. So he's going to break this race up into a 2-stopper, and that will make things a little bit easier for his life. Won't make his positions as good as maybe he wants, but at the end of the day, if you can keep it on the track at a road course, you can gain tons of positions, by drivers having mistakes. So we'll see how it works out for the 2-stop drivers, but the first one to do it is this 53.
As the 53 going to get back up to speed, only dropping about that of 8 positions was Eric Stamp, kind of showing already a good chunk of spacing for drivers. And for our leaders, they might not lose too much time either. They're going to lose a lot more time than some of the drivers in the middle of the pack, as they've spaced out pretty cleanly, as Joshua Altis having issues for that of the 94, as they're coming up around the carousel that was out of the bus stop where that of Altis had his issues. And 94 machine, a very scary spot. Luckily, drivers able to survive after that little bit of shenanigans happening.
Tough night for this 94, and it always seems to snowball when you're at road courses and you have those mistakes, man. So it's going to be one of those nights for him. If he can gain a few spots, I mean, a few guys have dropped out of this race and had big damage, like Michael Sheffield, Tyler Horn get caught in the wall. And that's allowed Altis to get some of those positions back, but he's still definitely going to be in one of those spots to try his best not to, get into anything that takes him out of this race, because that'll stop any progress forward. As we're checking out the 5 of Dakota, and he's having a good race for himself here in the 16th position, up from one spot where he started in 17th. And he's got Kyle B. Tate and Kyle Rochelle, the two Kyles, right behind.
Yeah, and got to be careful with the 21 of Kyle Rochelle. Already has used that front bumper to get drivers out of the way, and Kyle Tate, he's able just to survive. But Dakota Moniz, driver that has ran well before, hoping that he can find some luck this season. It's been kind of a roulette table at ways for this 5 on how well he's going to run. As we look up to drivers ahead, the battle for the lead getting a little bit close here. Danny Cocker, Mark Whitley within a half a second. Mark starting to close in here, Zach. And road course racing, it's all about that consistency. But man, what a jump up from the 77.
The pressure is picking up here, Sam, and this is where mistakes get more prevalent. I've always felt this as a driver being in the they got smoke up ahead of them here. There's a slow car directly ahead of our drivers, and they're going to be trying to navigate past that there, as these tires are tough, as that's Cody Smith in the 7 directly up ahead of them. But the pressure, when it starts to pick up, you get a driver within a half second of you, it always makes every braking zone that much tougher, because you take that little look up and then you lose focus of what's going on forward. So when you have a driver that is starting to pressure you here at road course, those are when mistakes are most prevalent, especially as the tires start to heat up and that wear kicks in. Danny Cocker is going to have to just stay focused here and not try to make any more mistakes, because that last lap had a pretty major one there that allowed Mark Whitley to close in, but he's done a good job here on this first opening part of the lap here to start to open the gap back up.
And this lap going to matter a lot for drivers, because this is the white flag of the stage. Will not be seeing a yellow flag, but lap traffic has assisted some of the drivers in the middle of our top 10. Trent Jump gets held up by the 7. Now going to allow Cody Reed to close in on that gap, but up front, Danny Cochran, he's got half a track still to go, but this dude looking solid to maximize his points as he's trying to have the most laps led as well, going for this stage bonus points.
Normally when you got to that carousel, it's pretty much home free for the rest of the lap. You just had 2 more corners, no more here with the boot. You got to be very precise, because I feel like this is the most easy spot on the track to make that big mistake that allows someone to close that gap. So we'll see Kane Cochran make his way through these final couple corners of this very slow up and downhill elevations type of track portion of it. So we'll see what he can do, but right now he's done a good job. He's opened the gap completely back over 1 second, and it seems to just found some new form.
Finding some new form as he's about to exit out of the boot. This too has been looking very strong. He's led every single lap. He got the pole. He had a mistake during qualifying, but was able to recover perfectly by putting down one of the fastest laps for himself during qualifying of his whole entire week of practicing in the 2. Second to last corner, smooth, hitting his marks, and as well on the exit of the final bend, staying low, hitting his marks again. And Danny Cochran going to win a stage winner, maximizing his bonus points. He's going to get 10 bonus points for himself. Mark Whitley's going to get 9. Trenton Jump expected to get himself that of 8 bonus points. 7 goes to Cody Reed. 6 goes to that Nick Crawford. Ollie Fonseca going to get 5 as he finishes in 6th place. 7th place goes to Cedric Hunter. That of 8th goes to John Forbes. That of Joshua Kanata going to get 9th. And Christopher Norris making a late pass on that of Logan Brakey through that of the boot. He will take that 10th place position and taking the final bonus point at our stage. As these drivers are at our stage, we're going to take a quick commercial break. You will not miss a single beat, though, here tonight, because we're going to go side by side for that ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. You are watching the Cody Super Epic 140 at the Glen. This is race number 4 on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. We'll see you on the other side here on your Monday night coverage of the ISRC Truck Series. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. And tonight, the driver racing at Watkins Glen for themselves. Everyone's keeping themselves to their P's and Q's. No one's coming to pit road just yet. We're expecting pit stops in about the next 3 to 4 laps. But for tonight, huge thanks to all the sponsors that help out the ISRC Truck Series that allows them to have us as your broadcaster. Start things off, it's Race Car Graveyard, the title sponsor of the Truck Series. Go ahead over to that of Race Car Graveyard on Instagram. Go use the promo code RCGY for that of a discount today on getting your diecast, as drivers get some smoke in front of them, a little bit of a scare, but as well, huge thanks to that of the Stage Breaks sponsor, that being the Laugh Lap. The Laugh Lap is a great Instagram page giving you some quality content with memes and daily posts. Go check them out today. And your final sponsor, who was also your white flag sponsor, it's Lariat Productions. You go to Lariat Productions on YouTube. Get some great laughs, great variety YouTuber. Honestly, if you have not checked out Lariat Productions yet, you need to check them out today, as that is your sponsors that we got to give a big thanks to, as well other ones, that of LP24 Clothing, and as well Morecast, Color Teal Graphics, 213 Simware, and Ride Rad. As Zach, a little bit of hold your breath moments there as we were going over the sponsors. As our draw leaders, once again, it's the lap traffic that's giving us the woes as we hop on board Trenton Jump, running in 3rd place.
Yeah, I've been watching this 3rd place group here with Cody Reed and Nick Crawford also in 5th here. Nick Crawford's been gaining on these two, and he's slowly worked his way up here and actually turning some of the fastest times on the racetrack. Cody Reed pretty close to him the last time by, but I think that 74 machine finding a little bit of grip here as this run goes on, maybe save that little bit to help him here, and maybe even feels probably a little bit more confident on fuel. So we'll see if these drivers start to run into issues, because we are on lap 19. They're going to need to go around, complete one more lap after this lap to feel very, very confident. But like you said, they've come up to this lap traffic of Eric Uphold, and he looks like he's going to be right in the way here in the bus stop. Oh no.
Eric Uphold feeling confident in where he's running and going to force the issue. Trent Jump now going to dive it down low. Cody Reed going to follow in suit. Same for Nick Crawford as the 17 stays wide and everyone able to go on by. And those are those scary moments. Again, you don't know how lap traffic's going to roll. And for Trent Jump, that is the 2nd lap car that has ran the preferred lane when expecting them to just pull over. And this 46 has had a lot of scary moments. And you know, at some point, Zach, either the racing gods are there to help you or they're going to get you in some trouble as those tires are flaring up for the 46.
That they are. They're flaring up for everybody personally. Even Danny Cochran up front is struggling with them. He's sliding through the center of these corners. Mark Whitley trying to chase him down. I mean, the gaps have been just going back and forth. I had about a 1.8 second gap for Danny Cochran a couple laps ago. Now it's down to 0.7 again. It's sometimes even past a half a second. So these things are fluctuating right now as these drivers are just trying to limit those mistakes. And that's when this racing gets very interesting, because when the mistakes come out, that is when you start to see positions change up, people gain time. And this is the portion of the race where we're seeing that. As you can see Trent Jump, he's using every bit of the racetrack. Oh no.
Danny Cochran hitting pit road. He was not able to extend it another lap. This is going to put him right on that question mark if he can even make it to the end of this race.
Oh no, that is not what you want to see if you're a fan of the 2 machine. This is going to make everything much more tough. He's going to have to go a total of 21 laps here, folks. And he's done 19 green laps and a 1 pace lap. So that's almost, in my opinion, 2 full laps that you got to add on to what he did here. He's got to find something here to fix his fuel mileage here. He's got to be able to lift and coast, do a little bit of strategy to try to save those, you know, critical tenths of gallons to make it. This is almost, I don't want to say undoable, but it's going to be so tough.
Oli Fonseca, Ethan Smith, Tyler Dangler, all hitting pit road as well. And all those drivers actually have been practicing with one another throughout the week. So it could be a strategy call for themselves. But that is a very, when we look at the numbers, the notes don't show that is a great call, but we'll see if the numbers can work out, because Danny has proven us wrong. You think back to Sonoma, back in Nevada Season 1, we saw Danny Cochran show out with an incredible fuel-saving run for himself. He might have some miracles here tonight as well, but Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, Cody Reed, the rest of the field up there up front. They should be good if they come to pit road this lap. many of them could push it another lap. And if they do, Zach, I feel like that could be the calling. That of Danny Cochran might be in the good.
That will be a telltale sign. If that is possible, then we're going to see that happen here. And I mean, I know Danny Cochran, it's close. It is close, folks. I've done the math. It's around, you're looking at 20 and a half laps, 20 and like 3/4 of a lap. So it's right on the edge of being able to go 21. So I think maybe Danny feels confident about making it 21. That's got to be what I'm thinking, because here we see Mark Whitley. We're going to see Trenton Jump. We're going to see Cody Reed. We're going to see Nick Crawford. We're seeing everybody in that top 4 come down. Wouldn't be surprised to see Cedric Hunter. And like you said, the group that came down pit road was a group that all practiced together. So they must feel confident about being able to save that extra lap and trying to get that little bit of an undercut from the tires to gain that gap. Now, how much will that play a factor of the 77 having a tire advantage when they come back out on track? That's going to be a huge part of this game here, and that's going to be fun to see. And also, if Whitley and them don't have to worry about saving fuel, then they're going to be much more well off.
And as well, another thing to watch out for, this is expected to be the one and only pit stop for these drivers. Do not get caught with that of trying to get a black flag by speeding, entering, during, or sliding through your box. Big ways to lose time. Christopher Norris going to be pushing it for an extra lap than everyone else.
That's right there. Is just showing, Sam, you brought it up. Can it be done? He has showed that it can be done. Now, he's going to be quickly caught by Danny Cochran here. So he's not going to get the lead lap because Mark Whitley was the leader at the line last time by. But still, this is going to give Christopher Norris not only a tired advantage, but also an advantage where he probably doesn't even have to focus on fuel. He can just go completely all the way to the end. But this is showing it is doable to do 21 laps. But here comes the 2. Can he get by him quickly? Because this is very important here for trying to build that gap to the 77.
As that of Christopher Norris going to go wide, given the space for the 2 machine, who's got the extra grip to battle on through. Norris almost thinking about a switchback for himself, not able to get back into the throttle. The tires just way too worn to do any fancy footwork out there on track. But Danny Cochran, with that extra lap, up pitting sooner than Mark Whitley. The gap already up to 4.3 seconds. But like we said, Mark Whitley going to have the advantage for the long run, and also could have the advantage here to close in this gap. The question is, how far will he do? As Christopher Norris showing a thought of going to the inside, thinks better of it. But man, if Norris had forced the issue there, that could have been a travesty for this 2 that is just like that of Trenton Jump and a few other drivers that have been veterans and very fast drivers that have struggled to have just one good finish this season so far.
It's so tough when you're in that, that luck streak of just going through it and going through the motions of, having a good run and then it all taken away by simple mistakes out on the racing surface. So it's tough to see, but there finally Christopher Norris will come in, seeing if he can use that advantage of going an extra lap than majority of the folks and 2 extra laps than our leader up here of Danny Cochran. But, the thing that I'm starting to think in my mind just a little bit here, the reason why Cochran played this out is, you only have to save a little portion of fuel, about a half to a quarter of a lap of fuel, which can be easily done. Like we brought up was the Sonoma factor, where, Cochran took it for much longer than we ever thought anybody could go. Because you can save tons of fuel in road course racing. It's much easier than oval racing, where majority of the oval racing, you're at full throttle. This is not. You are lifting, braking, doing all these certain actions, shifting through the gears that can all affect fuel mileage. I'm starting to play this out in my mind because Whitley is closing the gap down fast, and we didn't see Cochran really, once he got past Christopher Norris, really just drive away with the new tires. And even Norris was kind of sometimes looking to the inside there in the 38. I think what's going on here is Cochran wanted to get that clean out lap here to get the gap with the undercut. Now he saves the fuel to make it into the race for 21 laps. And he also saves the tire, because again, when you save the fuel, you're also saving that little bit of extra tire also. So I think this could end up actually playing out in the 2's favor. We'll see if that's how it works out, because that gap is slowly continuing to take down.
And as well, you got to watch out for the drivers that are in the chase mode, such as Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, and Cody Reed in that of Nick Crawford. When you're chasing someone down, you easily could be overusing those tires, just thinking, I got to catch them as soon as possible, and not thinking of, well, I'm going to catch them gradually at some point later on. And it seems like for Mark Whitley, he is going so fast right now. Same for Trenton Jump. They could be in that worrisome spot of they just were going too fast, to try to catch this too. This is going to be our first lap, really, though, to see how the tire difference is looking, and then also the aggression level of what these drivers are feeling as all the outlaps are done. Danny Crawford across the line. Here comes Mark Whitley to show what the times are looking like.
That is exactly the great point that I was, trying to bring up the mostly there, Sam. And that last lap there from Mark Whitley, super fast there. Trenton jump a 153.69. He's showing that he's using the tires up here, as even Nick Crawford a 153.71 for him. So those two right into the low 153s, using every bit of tire. And if you're Mark Whitley, you got to be smart here. Like you brought up, Sam, you can get into that game of, I'm running them down. I need to go faster. I got the newer tires. I need to close the gap now. But you need to gradually do it, because if you try to run them down just immediately, that advantage that you had by going that extra lap, it disappears out that window very, very quickly. So I think you brought up an excellent point there, saying, you can't get too overworked up here. You got to completely keep your pace and run them down slowly.
Also want to give an update on that of Christopher Norris, who we were saying was one of the few drivers that he was the only driver that extended it further than the rest of the field by one lap when he was getting into his box. Overshot it, then undershot it by trying to back up. Just wasted over 4 seconds before he really got into his box, and then it was an extended time in his box because of all that wasted time. He's back in 13th place, has lost over 10 seconds. He's hoping to gain all that time back as we're riding on board with Trenton Jump. And talk about the Watkins Glen here, Zach, and this 46 has been the driver to beat, but that was on the other configuration. But you think back to season 1, he was the favorite, got intentionally wrecked that race, but somehow still won, then was caught up with a wreck in that of last season. We got to see Trenton Jump once again dominating, but they brought in the new factor of having the yellow flags and having a full course yellow at the stage break, which Cody Reed trying a little bit of trickery, which kind of backfired, self-spun in front of the field, took out a lot of drivers with him, and it was Trenton Jump who was that driver caught up in that wreck that allowed John Forbes to win. So Trenton Jump's been fast, but the luck has been what's tricky for this 46, as we're seeing some lap drivers finally coming into pit road and getting back out on track.
Yeah, seeing those drivers come back out on the racing surface, but it is so tricky, man. These road course races, you can go from being in a perfect position to just being out of the race, even just a mistake, and then even another driver's mistake. Just because, we don't have that stage yellow here tonight, there's going to be lap traffic, and all it takes is that lap traffic to make one simple mistake right in front of you, and you go into a downward spiral from there. So I tell you, this is always one of those races where you got to stay focused over the whole 40 laps, because it can easily just all slip away in one simple moment.
I do want to ride up on board with the 2 here in about a lap or a half a lap, because the 2 is catching up with the lap traffic in front of them. And as well, we want to give some shout outs to our personal sponsors here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. As a first sponsor who we always talk about, and they usually are at the top left, that is iRacing iFlag. When we're under cautions, iRacing iFlag gives you clear, concise information when you've got your iFlag virtual flag system, letting you know when the track is yellow or we're coming up to a yellow sector, such as these drivers are feeling on track right now, as well as having a digital pit board. Go over to iRacingIFlag.com today, check out the great equipment, and while you're purchasing, remember to use our code FreakyFast2022 at purchase to get yourself a discount.
To add on to that, you can get yourself the admin box, folks. There is one of the best button boxes out there in the sim racing community, because not only does it give you the driver functionality that every single button box out there does, this one's got some added function, and that is to be able to race control from the driver's seat there. Very good pre-programmed commands all inside the button box that are lit up and well designed to allow you to control that race. As you're going to see some action there from Danny Cochran's point of view. But the discount code there on screen, make sure you use that at purchase and get yourself a nice discount. But man, crazy stuff going on there as that car spun right off in front of Danny Cochran. But they're definitely starting to close the gap there on this 2 machines. It's down with under a second now.
Yeah, that's kind of why we wanted to ride on board with the 2, get that scary factor of the unknown of what could happen in front of our drivers. Is that was Mark Morales in the 91 who went around at the exit of turn 1. And for our leaders, trying to hold on is the 2 of Danny Cochran, but he has got some heavy hitters behind him. It's Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump. They were 4.5 seconds back from Danny Cochran. Now less than a second, almost down to a half a second as they're closing up to that of Rob Sherwood.
This is where everything starts to pick up again. This is where Danny Cochran will see if his pace picks back up, because again, he looks to be saving here, saving time, maybe saving a little bit of fuel too with that early pit stop. We'll see if that pace picks back up here, or does he have to let these guys go by and just settle here? Because if so, that was a mistake not to save a good portion in that first run there, and I think he'll be kicking himself for that. But we'll see as they come up through that traffic, and this gets very interesting. I mean, Trenton Jump well within a shot also right there in third, and then about 3.5 seconds back to Cody Reed from this group. So very interesting to see. And another thing, just even looking at the stats, Sam, you know, Trenton Jump, he was so dominant at Watkins Glen here last season. Didn't win the race, of course, because he got taken out. But, oh, man, here comes Mark Whitley. Let's just say this. But, yeah, you know, looking back, his second start ever in the Struck League is when he won here at Watkins Glen. That's his only win after being a champion in this series. He would be looking since last year at March 7th of his last win, and it could come back here once again.
Yeah, I mean, when we talk to Trent, and he also, if you look back to the long run, he's talked about the unfortunes of every race. He feels like he has an opportunity for a win. Something happens. Either he gets caught up with a late wreck that kind of gives the other drivers opportunity to get fresh tires, or he gets wrecked by a lap car, or he just makes mistakes. The 46 of Trent Jump has tried everything to get to victory lane, but it's the two drivers ahead of him right now on track that have been the two that have gone to victory lane the most in ISRC Truck Series history. Mark Whitley, though, drifting, and the 77 has to be careful, almost caught with that of a corner cut.
That's so easy to do, man. That corner cut will come up so quickly, and if you get that, we've seen Ari Forbes early in the race, he had that one. You quickly will lose that advantage. It's Trenton Jump trying to hold on to it, but look at Mark Whitley. We're on the back bumper, but he's all over the back bumper of the two.
Trying to close in, has a good opportunity here, gonna dive bomb it in, trying to outbreak the two, not able to do so, but closes in on the gap, as now another opportunity. If the 77 gets a good launch out of the corner, just doesn't seem like he's close enough here. If he can keep it close though, turn one will be the next great opportunity for a pass, as Mark Whitley staying close, staying low, just not able to get as good of a launch. And Danny Cochran, we were talking about the fact that he was saving fuel the best that he could. He's been over a second slower at times than the drivers behind him. I might be thinking here, Zach, he was playing a little bit of a possum, letting them close in and having the tires to defend right now.
It's the smartest decision you can make, personally. I know a lot of people say, why give up the gap? Why do that? Why give up all that time? But tires are so critical, and also the fuel saving. He has to go that 21 lap distance that we haven't seen other than Christopher Norris do here tonight. They're going to have to be able to back those corners up, but here comes Mark Whitley. He's got the tire advantage, but how much tire has he used to get up here to make up that 4-second gap that was due to those pit stops? That's the question. And, you know, I really like this call here by Danny Cochran if he is able to hold off, make the 21 laps, and keep the tires underneath him, because, you know, if so, that's going to be it. But he's loose in the S's. This gives the opportunity that Mark Whitley wants, and now heading down to the bus stop. This is going to be a nice, clean, easy pass here as he's got the run, and Trenton Jump might even look to follow him through.
Yeah, there's a wiggle by the two, but somehow he'll keep the speed. They're going to be three wide entering the bus stop. That's not going to work. Danny Cochran goes through the grass, and it's Trenton Jump 2 for 1. The 46 somehow sticks it, but here comes Cody Reed, the fastest truck for the last 3 laps. The 25 making the pass on Danny Cochran. Now on the hunt to get by that of Mark Whitley. Whitley's tires are dealing with that of a lot of looseness. He's drifting, and Cody Reed closing in on the 77, coming up to the uphill, where Cody Reed can really try to outbrake the 77 of Mark Whitley. Whitley gets on the brakes hard. He's going to be holding stable in the preferred lane. Danny Cochran going to be aggressive on the inside, but watch out for this 25 machine. He's been the patient one of them all of the top 4. He's been letting the race come to him, and these tires are about to strike.
I am mind blown right now, folks. We have got a race on our hands now. It has been Danny Cochran controlling the race for the majority of it. Now, with that 3-wide pass, which you never think to do. Mark Whitley backed out of it actually on the inside there because he thought I wasn't going to be able to get it done just going too wide to the bus stop. Trenton Jump says, no, sir, I'm going to take the chances here. Take the risk, and it's paid off. He is driven to the lead now, and this driver looks to go back to victory lane here, possibly Watkins Glen, where he did in his second ever start here, but he's loose through that exit. And I think, like you said, Cody Reed's the driver sitting in the prime position because he let it all come to him in a slow, methodical method.
He really was, and watching the tires and the lap times, Cody Reed right out of the gate when they got back out on track. Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, they were putting down the fast laps. They were putting down personal fastest laps of the race. Cody Reed, on the other hand, he was backing off his speed. He was constantly running just as fast as Danny Cochran. He wasn't trying to overdo those tires. And now by that of the 77 of Mark Whitley, it's Cody Reed, Trenton Jump. It was the duel between these two drivers when Jump won at that Watkins Glen race. Well, Cody Reed in a much better position, both trucks at full song, and now it's time to make the dash to the end. 13 to go, 12 when they cross the line.
Ladies and gentlemen, my jaw is on the floor right now. I have, a lot of times these races are procedural. You get a qualifying order and they kind of stick to that there because that's just the pace that drivers run. Not tonight. Our top 5 has just been so close because I look at Cody Reed here who is starting to gain on Trenton Jump. You can't overdo it here to try to gain too much. But my biggest thing here is also you got to think Nick Crawford. He came out right behind Cody Reed and Trenton Jump that last run and was running both of them drivers down. He saved more than anybody there starting off. He didn't really gain anything. Now he's within 4.5 seconds. If mistakes start to happen with Trenton Jump up front, this group could get back bunched up. I think we got 5 trucks in it for here a possible win.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Nick Crawford, that last lap was the fastest truck on track for the 74, but he was at the biggest distance to close in. But if he's been saving those tires, being that slow, methodical push, he is in a great place to be as the drivers pretty equally spaced out at this time, but we know it's going to close back up as we're coming to 12 to go, and with it about to ramp up, this is going to be probably one of our last opportunities to shout out one of the best things that's going to be happening in February for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. That is our Daytona 500 charity event for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation. We've only got less than a handful of spots left if you want to race and be a part of this incredible second year of us doing a charity race. Last year, it was that of the 6 Hours of Daytona endurance race. We know oval racing a lot better, so why not do a full-length Daytona 500 race, 500 miles? We're hoping for a full field of drivers, and the charity has been incredible to watch the donations flooding in. And Zach, it's been a pleasure. We're not even to race day yet, and it's been fantastic to watch all of the charities and everyone coming together for such a great cause.
That it has been, Sam. It's been a pleasure, first off, to get this all going for us and all of us here working together as a team, getting this all rolling. And like you said, only a handful of spots. I can officially tell you there's only 2 spots left. Those spots may open on February 4th, though. We do have a couple drivers that haven't made the minimum donation yet, so we still need to get those donations from them before they lose their entry into the race. So there still could be some spots to open, but officially there's still 2 spots left. So if you're out there looking to get into it, make sure you join that Discord and you can get all signed up. So it's going to be a fun and wild 500 miles to raise money for diabetes.
Thank you so much again to everyone who's already donated. As for our leaders, they've gotten by some lap traffic. They're getting ready for more lap traffic for themselves. This is for that of Cedric Hunter, all the way back in 6th place. He is 14 seconds off of our leaders, and just saw the ticker move. Danny Cochran from the lead, Zach, to 5th. That has got to be a frustrating thought to be seeing yourself placed in, especially on the fact that this 2 looks so dominant, but it just does not look like it's in the cards for himself to win here tonight, unless complete chaos reigns for our top 4.
Well, I don't think it's over. The only reason I say is because we saw Cody Reed and Trenton Jump get into it before here. So could Trenton Jump be looking to say, hey, this is my payback for that last time taking me out of a dominant win? Because Cody Reed's ran him down now. And I tell you, with this, it could group us all up. And then Nick Crawford, who's been turning some of the fastest times on the track, he could be right back into the mix too. So I'm telling you, it's not over yet. Even Danny Cochran has a shot, even though he's falling back. But that snowballing effect is starting to add up for him, and it's just getting worse off.
And Crowfoot's not getting out of the way. They're catching him at the bus stop. This is the major speed difference to watch out for. The 46 trying to hit his marks. That of the 12 getting a little bit off track and forces our leader wide. And as well, Cody Reed's going to have to go wide around that of the 12 machine. Crowfoot is closing in the gap. Our top 3 now with all within a half a second of one another.
Yeah, that's an interesting call there because, you got about a 16-second gap back to Robert Sherwood for position and a 15-second gap up to Smeets for position. So no really reason to fight these leaders too hard like that. I mean, he did a good job at least holding this line. He stayed in position, but oh man, Cody Reed there deep into that corner, almost into the back bumper. This, folks, is about to heat up. because these three are all stacked up on top of each other. Mark Whitley looking for that win. I know Cody Reed wanted that win last week at Chicagoland, and he even takes a look down that straightaway.
And Cody Reed got his first ever league race win this past Wednesday at Wicked at this track. It was the faster, more traditional configuration of Watkins Glen, but this 25, he felt like last season here at Watkins Glen, he had an opportunity to win with the speed that he was showing, and he also has finished second here on that of the first time that these drivers raced at Watkins Glen for this league. But here tonight, Cody Reed, talked to him, and I've been talking to him for these last couple of seasons. He always stated, this is the league that matters to me. I want to win in this league. Winning in this league of the ISRC Truck Series would mean more than probably winning getting a win would mean so much more, would mean just as much as winning a championship. And the 25 dives it down low into turn number 1, and he's a great launch for himself. The 46 goes a little bit wide, able to get back to the throttle. They'll stay side by side, going up through the S's, and Cody Reed trying to go for an opportunity to win for the Truck Series. 10 to go here, Zach, and Mark Whitley almost dives it into the barrier.
Oh man, everything heating up still here, folks. We got a wild race on hands here for the last 10 laps. It's going to be, pandemonium coming all the way down to the end. Can Mark Whitley make quick work of Trenton Jump? I think Trenton Jump definitely tires starting to go away from that 46. It looks like it was a great pass to get 3 wide to that lead, but it's all just snowball back with the tire wear, and he is falling into the clutches of Whitley's. He has a big moment there coming out of the carousel, and they also can't look too far behind because Nick Crawford is gaining on them also. He was the fastest car on track by almost a half a second.
I will say the one driver I'm most concerned about, though, is the driver in between Nick Crawford and Mark Whitley. That is going to be Crowfoot. He is still hounding our lead drivers, and it doesn't look like he's willing to get out of the way. I take that back, though. He just ducks it down low. He might be giving up the spot to that Nick Crawford. If that happens, this 474 could be someone to watch out for, but Crowfoot continues to stay in the throttle. This is going to be a tough pass, it looks like, for Nick Crawford, because if he was able to stay in pace and rhythm, he was going to be closing in, and he could have started to hit that Jaws music.
Yeah, this has got to be frustrating if you're one of those drivers coming up to this lap traffic here. I understand, Crowfoot here, Ryan, is trying to, do his best and hit his best race, but at the end of the day, there's nobody around him for position. He needs to let these guys go by, and he's just going to race Nick Crawford into this corner.
Oh my goodness.
I would be so frustrated.
This is just not a usual thing to see from lap traffic, and Crowfoot has been having he has had a really bad reputation for these first 3 races. He's been caught up in a lot of wrecks, and he's put himself into bad positions, and now all that time that Nick Crawford had, he lost about a half a second there, 9 laps to go, and at this point of the race, you really cannot afford to lose that big of a chunk when you also have to get by 2-3 more drivers to take the lead.
Yeah, you brought it up perfectly, Sam. You can't just have those little holdups like that. It could be the possible end of your chance at it. But here we go. He got a battle in front of him, and Trenton Jump ain't giving up. He is going to every moment, but he's going up track along with Mark Whitley.
He's going to be taking the cut, and that is going to be having to yield time. That is a cut corner, and that means he's going to have to get out of the way or hold up Mark Whitley here, and that's allowing Cody Reed to just pull away.
Oh, man, Cody Reed loves what he sees. Trenton Jump going to have to clear that black flag himself here. He hasn't slowed up enough, though, in my opinion, to get it going yet, but somehow has, so must have got a very, very quick slowdown. But this allowed Nick Crawford. This is what he wanted to see, because he needs these two to make mistakes, get out of the way, battle hard, and let him have a clear track to try to run down Reed, because it's about 2.2 seconds to Reed for Crawford.
Looking at the next pocket of drivers that our leaders will catch up to, that is going to be Upbrook and that of Jordan Schmitz, but that is about that of 12 seconds ahead of our leaders, so should not be too much of a factor until maybe those later portions of this race. But Cody Reed trying to pull away that Trenton Jump, Mark Whitley. These two have had historic battles as well. Zach, if you think back to last season, Mark Whitley coming back to race Trenton Jump. He was known as the Force back when he won his championship in Season 2, and now they get to duke it out, as well as trying to catch up to Cody Reed, who just continues to hit his mark lap after lap and just holding the gap between first and second.
Reed is doing excellent, folks. He is doing exactly what you need to do when you're out front, and that is called open the gap up. But still, last time by, Nick Crawford, if he can get by these drivers, he is going to be within a shot. He just ran a 155.80 to our leader's 156.40. So you're looking at over 0.6 of a second gain there per lap from Nick Crawford, but he's got to make quick work. He cannot get held up. He's got time, but he cannot get held up.
And all four of these drivers that you see in our shot, all for position and all aiming for the win. And what's even crazier than that, it's crazy to think we're talking about tires and how well you saved them. They all pitted on the same lap, practically in line with one another. Very different strategies on how you want to run this race, and all within about 2 second span are these top four into the bus stop, where we've been seeing that Cody Reed and that Nick Crawford have the smoothest runs of these four. It's been Trent Jump and Mark Whitley who've been aggressive, and really those tires are not liking this aggression.
They are not, Sam. They're not liking the aggression at all. I'm seeing Trent Jump step out the rear in almost every single corner, along with Mark Whitley. That's going to be where Nick Crawford has to pounce. He has to be perfect, and you can see him easy with working that rear end there coming out of that last corner. So it's very, very tough, but I can tell you what they're doing. They're closing down the gap to Cody Reed. I'm not sure if Reed is trying to save a little bit here at tire, make sure no mistakes, but they have closed it down, and that's one of the things. It's always sometimes easier to be the driver. Chasing someone as here goes wide. Trenton Jump, this is going to give Mark Whitley an opportunity, but he's not going to be able to put the power down behind him. And you can see in the mirror, he's got the settle and drop back behind him.
Not able to make the move just yet. We are starting to close in, though, to the four of Jordan Schmeeds, and Schmeeds has shown that he's willing to get out of the way, so I'm not expecting that driver to be an issue once our leaders catch up to him, but it is now 7 to go. Cody sponsored the race last season at Gateway. The whole entire week last season, he kept on saying, I'm winning Gateway, I'm winning that race. He found himself in major contact and controversy with that of Nick Crawford, who runs in fourth now here tonight. This is 25. Put his name down on this race. It's the Cody Super Epic 140 at the Glen. And this 25, hoping to say, I named this race because I was calling my shot to win it. 7 to go into the back stretch. And he is still holding the same gap between himself and Trent Jump.
And he is holding that same gap. And it's a nerve-wracking one. It seems like the first half of the lap, he really opens it up here. And then it seems like through the boot, he loses a little bit of time. I'm not sure if he's just being a little bit careful because, again, I brought it up the majority of the night. I feel like that's the easiest place to make those major mistakes is through this boot. And, maybe Reed is just feeling, no reason to really risk it here. Just get good exits, get good entries. You'll make the tires last better not only, but also you'll make sure the mistakes are limited there. As you see again, Reed in the boot, Jump here, gaining on Reed in this boot section.
Continues to try to gain any small way possible. Is that of going to be seeing if Trent Jump can do anything. It's less than a second. A great launch out of that corner, but now heading into the heel part of the boot right before they exit out and back onto the more traditional course. As the 46 goes wide, here comes Mark Whitley, going to be on the outside. He's got to do a crossover move. He gives a bump, puts the pressure. The 77 trying to make the pass, but holding strong is Trent Jump.
Yeah, if you're Cody Reed, man, you want this group here to battle. You want them to bring the elbows out, make things slower, make things tougher on themselves. And right now, Trenton Jump, he is making his truck as wide as the racetrack. He's doing everything in his power to hold back Mark Whitley while also trying to gain on Cody Reed. It's one of the toughest things to do when you're kind of right there in the middle of this situation. You got a driver, if you make a mistake from trying to chase the driver up front, that he's going to pounce on you, and here down in the one makes another slight mistake, but really recovers well there. So this is a weird opportunity to be in, but he's trying to do his best work now.
Trying to find your way, he says. Looking at the times for Nick Crawford, Zach, honestly, being held up by Crowfoot there seems to be the major factor that made this 74 that could have been already past these guys and putting the pressure on Cody Reed. It just doesn't look like those tires are at the same scale that they were that of 3 laps ago when he was really making that push forward.
Completely agree with you there, Sam. It's just lap times haven't been as fast as before. He was the only driver really reaching down to the 155s. He's now fell into this same group here as he's caught some of that dirty air. He's within a second of this group right ahead, and that dirty air can play a huge factor. And one thing I am seeing again, it's really the first half of the lap, Cody Reed very, very strong. After they get out of the S's, though, Trenton Jump, Mark Whitley, they gain tons of time through the bus stop and then down into this boot. So Cody Reed's got to be careful. He's not trying to walking that truck sideways, but I will say I'm seeing a lot more sliding out of these two compared to Reed. So I don't know if he's just being that much more calm, cool, and collected and try to make sure no mistakes happen, but you can't let them get too close. Trent Jump very fondly remembers last year getting Cody Reeded, as he quoted.
Yeah, I mean, getting Cody Reeded, and now he's about to be making too many mistakes. Mark Whitley to the inside, coming out of the boot, side by side for second place, the 77. Best opportunity, but not able to get the launch that he needed, and will have to fall to the clutches of the 46 once again. But Cody Reed catching up to Jordan Schmidt. We'll see if Schmidt's going to be right in trouble. Either we're going to be seeing the 4 get ducked out of the way on this front stretch, and it doesn't look like he'll be doing so. We could be seeing Cody Reed catching him either at the bus stop or at the top of the S's.
We'll have to see how that works out. I think here coming through the S's, he'll probably pull left and let these drivers by it, I'd imagine. But at the same time, he does have 5 seconds up to the next driver in front of him. If he just pulls over and lets him by, and he loses a good portion of time if that driver ahead of him makes a mistake. So I think he's going to stay in it here. He's probably going to have to let him by somewhere in the boot section of the track, as they are about 2 seconds a lap faster than him, and the gap is quickly closing down as they head to the bus stop.
And then the driver ahead of Schmitz is a driver that caused some chaos last week. That of being Cody Smith. Smith, though, seems to be just getting out of the way for the 4, but he's going to be right in the way heading into the boot for a leaders. This is a terrible spot to catch up to lap traffic for Cody Reed, but this is fantastic for Trent Jump. The 7 into the outside wall. He'll stay out of the way, locking it down, but that's affected Trent Jump. He goes way too wide, and Mark Whitley now closes in the gap, heading to the outside into that of the toe of the boot.
That is tough to see there. That driver of Cody Smith there trying to get out the way. He goes off groove. When you're off groove like that, you just don't have grip. And you can see straight away just went almost head first into the wall. And Trenton Jump was reacting to that, just missed the corner also. And that opened up the door for Whitley, but Trenton Jump again late into the braking zone there. That allowed him to hold on to that position. And again, through this section, you know, even with that mistake, Cody Reed not too far ahead. I think he's just being very careful. He's being smart here, but you can't let Trenton Jump close it down. You can't let him get within distance on that last lap, especially striking distance, because I tell you, the bumpers are coming out.
Oh, absolutely. We've seen drivers be willing to move someone else out of the way. The question is, how aggressive will someone be, recognizing, hey, if you get a win, you're locked into the playoffs. And Trent Jump wants to get that win so bad. Nick Crawford wants it so bad. It's Mark Whitley, who won last week, who is in the spot where technically he doesn't have to go for, you know, bumping for a win to get to the playoffs, but he wants every win possible. The 77 always hunting for the glory as Cody Reed, 4 laps to go. The next driver on his radar going to be that of Matt Uppbrook, but Uppbrook can be about 10 seconds off of our leader. Should not be a factor for very long. That of Cody Reed, his mirror is just constant ducking and weaving from Mark Whitley trying to get by Trenton Jump.
It is all over the place back there. Those drivers, I mean, if Trenton Jump didn't have Mark Whitley behind him, I feel like he might be able to make a little bit better headway, just due to not having to worry about that 77. They have to defend the 77 so well, but it's really opened up this race's chances here, because it's Reed's race to lose, but it can be easily done as he goes a little bit wide there, but he gets the turn back down for a late apex, so good job there for doing that. But again, it just always seems like through the bus stop, out into the boot, he just loses that critical time. So if Trenton Jump can get close enough on that first portion of the lap and Reed way out the groove there, this is going to really let them close the gap down. Now almost under a half a second.
It's going to be out, expecting to be under half a second, but actually not a great launch for Trent Jump out of the corner. He could have pounced, but was struggling to get back up to speed. Cody Reed, he's got to make sure he gets up through the gears, but he's wiggling again. Cody Reed's got to be careful. He could be throwing this race away as he is constantly getting loose, and Zach, where he's been the most stable, is looking out of control now.
Trenton Jump also sliding, Mark Whitley sliding, Nick Crawford, the top 4, all just duking it out here, giving every little bit of rubber they got left on the tires, they're using it up now. They say it's coming to 3 to go. I ain't got much time to make it happen. And Trenton Jump there into the wall off the exit of the final quarter, and it's not going to allow Mark Whitley to get up to him, so that's good for him for now. But I tell you what, it's still only 0.6 of a second separating our top 2 and 1 second separating our top 3. This is still any man's game out here. But right there over the curb, Oh, big moments for Trick Jump. I don't know how he's holding on to that truck.
I don't know either, but that contact to the outside wall off the final corner, that wall is not forgiving. Just a small little tap could give you some critical damage, and the 46 is feeling it. He is no longer able to really stay stable. Mark Whitley has to make this pass now if he wants an opportunity to win this race, because Trent Jump is going to hold off the 77 as they go through the bus stop. You can see drifting is Mark holding on somehow.
We are just seeing a A-class show of just drivers handling machines here tonight. This is what road course racing is all about. It's about tire wear. It's about staying consistent. Ain't no consistency right now. It's just consistent of keeping it together and keeping it straight and trying to be as fast as possible. Mark Whitley, I mean, just an A-class job there to have quick hands to hold on to that machine. And that's going to drop him back a little bit, but there's still time. This road course is long. It's got plenty of spots to make those opportunities of slides. You can see them all just working the rear end. This race is just been intense.
It's not over yet at all, and drivers have to be starting to get a little bit worried, because for that of Cody Reed, he is going to be flying here and hoping that he does not catch up to any more lap traffic, because the next group is not just one driver, it's a pack of 3 that is up in front of him right now. So have to be making sure you're hitting your marks, but might want to slow down just a little bit, knowing that you've got a gap, protect yourself, but don't give too much of that gap away so you can get ran over. 3, about to make it 2 laps to go for the Cody Super Epic 140 at the Glen. This 25 machine felt the pressure, wanting to win. And I got to say, Zach, that win in Wicked on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, it could have been really what shooken up Cody Reed to give him that extra confidence to show up here tonight.
It very well could be, Sam. You carry wins over with confidence, and that is one of the number one things I feel like in racing that is most important, is being confident about yourself. If you're doubting yourself, you're having those little talks in your head while you're racing, it's already over at that point. So you got to make sure to do your best to just stay confident and stay cool and calm and collected. But here goes Mark Whitley in the background, but he's not going to be able to get it done. Trent Jump just flying through the bus stop, driving it in. So it's it's any man's game, but confidence is key here with Reed. But the big thing for him also is getting through this next part of traffic. He's going to have to deal with them here when they come up on the white flag lap with Matt Uppbrook right ahead.
It's Uppbrook as well as Uphold that are going to be the next 2 drivers to watch out for, as Mark Whitley's going to drift it through that of the coming through the corner, entering the bus, entering that of the boot. Nick Crawford wheeling it out of the corner, not able to hold on for his speed. And drivers have to be careful, because Cody Reed is catching up to that of the 17 of Barrick Uphold, and Uphold is looking even more loose than what our leaders have been, as we are coming up to the white flag when they cross the line. And Zach, I mean, all the storylines we could shout out about Cody Reed. He's the driver that is still yet to win, who has had the most second place finishes of anyone else. And now he is just about a lap and a quarter away before he can say that he's a winner here, but he has to survive to get to that point.
That he does, Sam. 2 more corners before he sees that white flag that really will bring the nerves out. I tell you, he's got a good gap, though. He has the ability here to make a small mistake or even back his corners up to make sure those mistakes don't happen. What he wants to see is these lap cars get out the way, and we may see that happen. But it looks like the 17 holding here position. Oh, no.
Oh no, and he's going to break right in the actual preferred lane, forcing Cody Reed to go low. That's going to be a little bit forcing him on the outside, but that's that little mistake we're talking about, as the Larry Art Productions white flag is out. One scare is done. Now it's all about hitting your marks for Cody Reed, as he's got a second gap to work with Trent Jump in second place.
Again, surprising to see lap trucks like that, 2 laps down, nobody been racing, just doing weird things. And I tell you, I would be happy as myself as a driver out there having to deal with that there. We'd most likely want that driver to let you go and let you get a clean position. But Cody Reed through the bus stop for the final time, into the carousel and into the boot right after this. It's about a 1.1 second gap. He has room to make mistakes, but he can't make a huge one because they closed it there through the carousel, and it's down to 9/10.
Yeah, they closed it in, but again, he's got enough space to work with here. Cody does not need to make this pass on the lap car head unless they have a major mistake, which that's going to be that of Uppbrook. That's hoping that he's just going to stay stable, hit your lines, hope you that these tires are going to hold on, as Cody Reed trying his best now on that of the bottom of the boot, hoping to just make it 4 more corners to go. Second place getting a little bit more dicey as Mark Whitley's trying to make a pass for another opportunity. Cody Reed drifts it through the corner, and he'll hold on, but it's going to be Mark Whitley moving up to second place. Cody, 3 more corners. It has been just constant talking points. His first second place here in the ISRC Truck Series was here at Watkins Glen back in Season 2. He then got another second place for himself at Las Vegas. He got another second place at Bristol Dirt. He got a second place last season where he thought he would win at Atlanta. Through the final corner, Cody Reed known as self-sabotaging at every race possible. But tonight, the Cody Reed Super Epic 140. Give it to the 25. Cody Reed wins.
Oh man, what a crazy ending. Ooh, let's maybe some extracurriculars there. That's what I say went on this straightaway, but man, oh man, folks. Let me tell you, this guy, like you said, Sam, he brought up so many second place finishes. That guy has been trying things to get that monkey off his back of just bad luck, bad positioning, just everything, and it all comes back to pay off here tonight. And I'm telling you, I can look back to that Wednesday night win at Wicked. I think that's the confidence builder for this guy. What a crazy ending.
I mean, Cody has been saying, I think for the past, exact 2-3 seasons, almost every week, he's like, I feel like maybe it's the win this season. Maybe it's this season. And I jokingly said last week to Cody saying, hey, maybe you have to wipe out all your teammates and then maybe that will throw over to some luck the next week. Last week, he practically did wipe out his whole entire team in that last major wreck at that of Chicagoland. And tonight, he is going to be taking the win here at Watkins Glen. And oh, this feels good for us up in the booth to see him finally get over that hurdle that has felt like it's been in front of him. And finally, getting to victory lane is this 25 machine.
That he is, Sam. It's a great moment for him. I know he's going to be excited. This is the place he really wanted to get a win. He knows that was his first league win just this past Wednesday. This was the place that's kind of loomed to him. It's so much those chances, and now he's finally done it. I can tell you from any win, it doesn't matter if it's your first, your last, whatever it is, it all matters to you. And you can see he's going to just roll here nice and slow to the finish line. I don't even know if he's got fuel, whatever he's got, but he's going to use whatever he's got to do this burnout, hopefully.
And Cody, he's going to be just trying to get to that spot to go burn it down as drivers blasting on by, finishing their race still. And for Cody Reed, I mean, he's been here since Season 1, and he's happy that he's finally got it done. Victory lane for the 25. He's gotten that now checked off of his list. Next list, championship, as he's going to slowly come around and going to have Christopher Norris expecting to give him some congratulational bumps from the 38. But as Cody gets to just hang out here, I believe he ran out of fuel. We are going to take a break for ourselves. We are going to come back for the post-race show. We'll talk to the top 2, and then as well, a spotlight driver will be back in just a few moments. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show on Freaky Fast Broadcasting for that of the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series. My name is Sam Dyer. With me is going to be that of Zach Hall, and big thanks to Robert Morey Jr. for running productions in the background. What a race this season. I mean, if anything, you could call it the season of the first-time winners. Logan Brakey did it 2 weeks ago. But I know for this driver, last season, I called it the Cody moment of him having self-sabotaging spinouts. But, well, I might have to change that to tonight. A Cody moment of winning a race. I know this has been a moment that he's been hoping for. Hopefully we got him. Cody, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You, sir, are an ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series winner here at Watkins Glen.
Dude, finally, man. Like, oh my god, I've had so many, like, close finishes, and last season kind of sucked completely. Last week kind of sucked, even though, I mean, I showed speed, and, like, I feel like ever since Phoenix, everything for me on iRacing, I've just been a lot better. Like, something's clicked. I don't know what it is, but Phoenix, I ran top 3 all race. Daytona's Daytona. Kentucky, I was really, really fast in practice and everything, and at the beginning of the race, and then it went awry. And Chicagoland, I was really fast, led more laps than I had in every other race in this league combined. And man, I didn't think I had anything for them, man. Like they it was like the top 4 all day kind of like pulled away right off the get-go, and then Nick started catching up afterwards. But it got to the point where the top 3 was pulling away from me in that first like half of the race before pit stops, and then but as soon as I got some fresh tires, I was saving them longer than the other guys. They all got up close to each other, started battling, using up their tires, and I started catching them, and they kind of all got scrambled up, passed them all, and I thought they were gonna get me, man. I was making so many mistakes. I was like driving on ice. Some of the lap cars were not too great tonight, and I was kind of getting the worst of it at some points. Uh, oh man, it feels so good. Finally, I don't know, man. Like I won the Wicked Racing League race Wednesday at Watkins Glen, and then to sweep the Watkins Glen week feels great. But I do have to say, no offense to that league, but this is a lot more special. I've been racing racing with these guys since season 1. This is my first iRacing league I've ever done. So many second place finishes. Finally a win. I think I'm done talking for that segment.
Well, Cody, hey, a lot of emotions, a lot of things come out when we get that first win. And like you said, a very special one, my friend. I tell you, take us through that exit out of pit road, because you had, that whole group of y'all kind of bunched up together when y'all pit on lap 20 there with Cochran coming at 19. Take us through how much did you have to pace yourself to know, hey, if I go out there and run as fast as those 2 in front of me, I won't have any tires left?
I'm going to be kind of honest. I was so used to the old tires from the previous run that I was kind of like subconsciously driving too safe. And I didn't really mean like I meant to go harder than I did, and I was even like telling my teammates like I could be going harder, and I just wasn't. But it ended up saving my tires what I was doing. And with them guys using them up, battling each other, it really helped me out. So I yeah, it feels good.
Well, Cody, final question before we can let you go. Take a breather here. You now finally have got this one off your back after that of counting tonight, 78 starts. You have gotten it done. Now we're going into a very interesting part of the season. We're going to a lot of unique tracks that are not really known to be running for the trucks. So we're going to that of Twin Ring Motegi, Darlington Auto Club. Then we go dirt racing at that of Port Royal. And then we go back to road course racing at Fuji. These next 5 races are looking chaotic, but man, how are you feeling now with the win and knowing that you're locked into the playoffs?
I mean, I feel good. I feel safe now that I'm locked in. I don't have to worry about, being on the cut line like I have in previous seasons. But I do have to say, some of those tracks, like I feel like I always do good at the weird tracks. Motegi, has some elements of a lot of the tracks that I'm really good at, like Gateway, Kentucky, stuff like that. I haven't actually ran the track, but that's just from what I've heard. Darlington, I'm not too good at, but Port Royal, I'm really excited for. I got a second place at Dirt Bristol in season 2, and in season 1, I ran pretty well at Eldora, so I'm really excited for that. Um, I'm still gonna try to get wins. I'm not gonna try to stop here. I'm gonna try to go to try to go for a championship for once. I think that's my next step. So
Well, Cody, congratulations again on this win, and now the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
yeah, I'd like to thank my parents. They're my dad's watching right now. He watches every week. I'd like to thank him. They helped me get into iRacing with the cost and everything. I'd like to thank them. I'd like to thank my teammates, John McAdam, John Forbes, and Ethan Smith. They're awesome. I had them in my ear, even if they had a couple mishaps in the race. I'd like to thank Danny Cochran. Practiced pretty much all week with him, and I would not have won today if I didn't get those practices in with him. And I think that's it. Actually, nope. I'd like to thank you guys for putting this on. I'd like to thank the admins for holding this league. And that's it. I'm done, finally.
Well, Cody, I'm so proud of you on this win, and go enjoy this winning here tonight. Again, good luck next week at Motegi,
Yeah, thank you.
as that will be your winner of the 25 of Cody Reed. And now we go to what's a little bit more drama filled, as we head to second place. We got Mark Whitley joining us. Mark, it's Sam and Zach up at the booth. You got us?
Gotcha.
Well, we saw you fighting and clawing to try to get by Trenton Jump. It didn't happen until that last lap. Man, how are you feeling after your performance here this evening?
I felt pretty good. Our new gas is going to be pretty close. Just looking at it when we loaded into the race under pace laps. I was trying to save as much as I could under pace laps and rode behind Daddy and kind of was short shifting, letting off early, just trying to get as much savings as I could to make sure we could get to halfway. And once he came in the pit before halfway, I figured, that was, that's it. He couldn't make it. So after that, we were just trying to ride easy. And then eventually, I think Danny realized he was short. So we were catching him and was about to go for a pass on him. And then dive bomb of the Century Award goes to Trenton Jump. And if I wouldn't have backed out of there, all three of us would have died. So that's frustrating to, somebody couldn't be patient for, one corner and let us both get around a slower car, and then we could race, and he just wanted to dive it in there and almost kill all three of us. So after that, it took a couple laps to get the tires unangry, because, I had to slam on brakes to get it woed up, and Cody got around us. And after that, it was just trying to make sure, didn't eat the tires too much. We still had a decent amount of race left, and felt like we were in a good position, and got a couple runs on Cody a couple times and just couldn't get around him. And then Cody finally able to get around Trenton. Then Trenton, yeah, it was pretty difficult to pass. There was a couple times I should have just punted his ass, but I didn't want to do that. So he finally made a mistake on the last lap. It was a little late for us, but it worked out. We got second place, so I'll take it. Felt like might have had a chance for the win, but just because it wasn't to be.
Well, Mark, yeah, definitely a close race between y'all, all in the top 4, top 5 there, man. But, you came off the win last week at Chicagoland, got a good run here tonight at Watkins Glen. We got a tricky part of the schedule coming up with Motegi with the week off before that, and then Darlington, Auto Club, Port Royal, and then Fuji. How do you feel about these upcoming 5 races here?
I've never run Motegi, so I have no idea how that's going to be. Should be an interesting time. Port Royal, I'm looking forward to. I love dirt racing, so hopefully we can get out there and maybe get a win there. That should be fun. I've never raced that track with these cars, so should be an interesting learning experience. So like I said, it's always fun to slide it sideways on the dirt. And the rest of the schedule, some interesting races coming up. Tracks I've never been to before. Fuji is another one I've never been to, so that should be an interesting one. Just learning process right now. We're locked into the playoffs. We're just trying to get as many wins as possible, get as many bonus points as possible, and just stay up front and lead the points, and hopefully get in the playoffs at a good situation.
Well, Mark, congratulations on second place. I know that you were hoping to get that win, did not come around. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Oh yeah. Well, first, a big shout out to Cody finally getting through the bear and getting his first win here. I know he got his first league win like a couple weeks ago, so pretty exciting for him. So congratulations to him on the win. He drove one hell of a race. So big shout out to him. And then my sponsors, Brantley Harpoon Design. I know he was spotting for us tonight. Won't really a lot for him to spot, but he was in the room giving us commentary for what's going on in the rest of the truck. So I appreciate him. So if you want to get a paint scheme made, check him out at harpoondesign.com. He'll get you something custom made for you. He's does the best work on iRacing, and he does it really fast too. So check him out. Then big shout out Shop Angry Duck. They're your one-stop shop for all your custom racewear apparel. You know, hats, t-shirts, hoodies, anything you can think of apparel-wise. You want something custom made, they can do it for you. No order limits. So check them out at Shop Angry Duck. And then final shout out to my family and my teammates. Family tuning in the broadcast every week. It's always fun having them supporting your corner. And then my teammates, John and Nude for Driven official Kyle. He's coming on board with us the rest of the season. So excited to see what he can do, and hopefully we can run for that team championship.
Well, that is going to be the 77 machine of Mark Whitley. Congratulations on second place, and good luck next week as we head to Motegi.
Thank you.
As we go from third place, from second place, we head to third place as we bring in that of the 46 machine of Trenton Jump. And Trenton, it's Sam and Zach up in the booth. You did a great job defending Mark for the majority of that last run, but man, losing out there late. But how are you feeling after tonight's race?
I had a lot of fun. It was a lot more fun than I thought it was going to be. I thought the track was going to get hot and it was just going to be miserable, but no, it was a lot of fun. Had a lot of good racing tonight and nothing really to complain about.
Yeah, definitely some great racing, Trenton. I mean, making probably the pass of the year, at least in this season so far. Take us through the 3Y moment. It takes a lot of guts to do that, and you made it stick, my friend.
Yeah, I just knew I was breaking the latest out of all three of them there, and I don't know. I probably could have held off, but I don't think I really did anything wrong. I think they just both didn't get a 3 wide call or whatnot, and it got way blown out of proportion from what it was. Because I held my line. It's not like I got loose and would have came across and wrecked anybody. I threw it in and held my line, so I don't feel like I did anything really wrong. So it was just really hard racing at the end of the day.
Which, Trent, that could be added to a lot of hard racing this whole entire season so far.
Mhm.
This is the fourth race of the season. We've seen a lot of bad luck kind of swinging your way at times. And a lot of people we expected to perform well have been caught up in bad wrecks these last 3 weeks. But, man, a performance like today, how does that give you confidence heading into the rest of the season?
Yeah, it's just finally nice to finish where we should be finishing for once. It's like 3 weeks in a row. You run well and then you just get caught up in other people's stuff. It's just all a convergence of a lot of people racing together that haven't really raced around each other very much. So in that you just get mistakes and accidents, and fortunately you just get caught up in it sometimes.
Well, Trenton, congratulations again for a third place finish. Thanks for giving us a show with you guys drifting around. And before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout outs.
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for broadcasting this thing and the admins for putting it on, and painter Justin at Color Teal Graphics, and just want to say congrats to Cody for finally getting his win.
That's going to be the 46 machine of Trenton Jump. Congratulations on this third place finish, and good luck next week at Motegi.
Sounds good.
As we go from interviewing our drivers, we get to take a look at where the drivers finished out here tonight, as you got to see some of the slow-mos. And Zach, I thought it was pretty funny watching it on our screen and hearing from Mark Whitley. We got to see the after-race collisions that we were kind of talking about while we were getting our pre-show prepared. Mark Whitley, Trenton Jump, they might not have said it over the radio. They might have said it over the radio, but we didn't get to hear it publicly. But those drivers, we'll see how that altercation moves on in the next couple of weeks, because honestly, it could be a lot of madness, and we've seen the drama in last season and seasons before that. Could be a start of a brand new rivalry, as this is where the top 10 are the rest of the field. Cody Reed first, Mark Whitley second, Trenton Jump third with Nick Crawford in fourth, and then Danny Cochran, who dominated on the whole entire, you can say first three quarters of the race. Fell off, not enough rubber for himself. Cedric Hunter going to get sixth. Seventh goes to Aldi Fonseca. John Force falls down to 8th place. Logan Brakey up to 9th. And that of Joshua Kanata going to finish out with your top 10.
I mean, you look through the rest of the list, it's just good runs for a lot of guys that needed good runs too. You know, Tyler Dingler there in 15th, Brian Fine in 13th, Cody Manise getting 16th. So good night there at the road course where I know a lot of guys, this isn't their speciality, you know, so they don't feel the most confident here, but they came out of here in one piece, and that's the key to getting out of a road course is just make sure you keep it on track and do the best you possibly can. But, man, you brought up the drama there. That was, I mean, from the audience standpoint, that was an amazing pass. I mean, you got to give it up to Trenton for trying it. I don't know if I would have done it from the driver's seat myself, so I can't wait to see if that buds a little bit of a rivalry between those two there, Mark Whitley and Trenton Jump. You know, definitely would be one. I think that would be pretty spicy for us for heading into the rest of the season. But I tell you, what a night here at Watkins Glen. The boot added a whole different speciality to it, and it just was all over the place. Just different things happening, drivers sliding all over the racetrack, and it really, I think, added to the racing there when these drivers didn't really know what to expect going through that portion of the track.
They really didn't. And out of that factor of wheelmanship that was awesome just to watch from our side of things, of seeing the drivers drifting it into corners, drifting out of the corners, and somehow holding on for our front four that gave us the best show we could ask for those final 10 laps. But man, here tonight, 25 wasn't able to burn it down as he ran out of fuel, but Cody Reed, winner here tonight for the Cody Super Epic 140 at the Glen. And Zach, I mean, it doesn't get any easier. The next track, a brand new one that most drivers have to purchase now to even race at, because a lot of these drivers never even thought about going to this track. They're heading to Twin Ring Motegi and going to Japan next week.
Yeah, that's going to be fun too. And I believe, looking at the schedule, unless there's a typo on it, I believe we do have an off week actually heading into next week. But then we go to Motegi. So I'm interested to see how that plays out. I've never raced Motegi myself. I actually have to purchase it myself, but I have watched races there, and I've actually, played on a few here and there other racing games out there. So it's an interesting track. NASCAR race there in 1998. Had a little bit of an exhibition race there, so that was fun to see how that played out. I'm about to go back, do a little research with that maybe, and compile some notes for that one, because we got a fresh notebook for that one. That one's definitely never happened on Freaky Fast. And I think even we got another league coming up on Saturday night that will be running it too. So we'll get a little early taste of it.
A little bit of early taste, and we can't wait for it. And yeah, I believe that is right. Next week, based on the schedule that we have right now, should be an off week for the drivers. So I think after the way that tonight ran, they might need that off week to try to settle in. And then the next race for sure is going to be the Twin Ring Motegi course. But man, tonight, Cody Reed finally getting the monkey off his back and gain his first ISRC Truck Series win. And it took him 58 tries, and he finally gets it done. But for us here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting with the Truck Series on Monday night, that's the start of our week here for us at Freaky Fast. We got plenty of other great coverage to give you throughout the week, and it all starts tomorrow night for the Full Send Racing Series. The trucks head to Auto Club. Cannot wait to see how the driver's going to attack that wide 2-mile course on how they can handle it. Then Wednesday night, it's going to be the Wicked Racing League heading that of New Hampshire, and money's on the line, $100 to see which driver can get the win there. Thursday, it's the Stars and Stripes Series. They head to that of Homestead, Miami. Can't wait to see how the ARCA cars tackle that of Homestead. Should be a good one of all the different lanes to be utilized. But Zach, before we're done here tonight, what are some of your final thoughts of tonight's race?
Well, final thoughts are, I hope everybody out there enjoyed the show, because I sure did. It kept me on the edge of my seat. Had a few moments where my jaw dropped to the floor. Had strategy all over the place. You couldn't ask for a better road course race, in my opinion. That is the essence of road course racing with stock cars, and we got a perfect representation of that. So heading into these next few nights, we should have some more good racing too, and I'm excited to see how those play out here, because it keeps rolling here at Freaky Fast. We are never going to stop this thing, because it's a beautiful sight to see every week. We just get these great races, and it's a pleasure to call these leagues.
It certainly is a pleasure, as you have gotten to watch the ISRC Race Car Graveyard Truck Series, race number 4 and 4th different winner of the season for these drivers, and second first-time winner of those 4 races for this series. And how many more first-time winners will we see? Well, we'll see it in 2 weeks when they head to Motegi for their next collisions of seeing who's going to be involved with some big wrecks, great finishes. We cannot wait for it. But for us, our next broadcast tomorrow night, it's the Full Send Racing Series. Can't wait to see you then. But for tonight, Monday, thank you for watching here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. For myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer running the productions in the background, and everyone else that helps out here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on our next broadcast tomorrow night at Auto Club. We'll see you then.